Good morning, everyone. Hello, my name is Dane Aloe. I am the lead of strategy and measurement for a company called Spiro. And in the world of AI, what Spiro does is all the way down the end to live activation. So Spiro is one of the larger event experience companies in the world. We do 7,000 to 8,000 activations, from pop-ups and tours all the way to CES activations, festivals, kind of you name it. So it's very, very interesting to see how AI is actually impacting the event industry. So really interesting when we look at the people talking digital and kind of more AI upper funnel. Today I'm joined by Michelle, who from ETS, who's going to introduce herself and talk a little bit about ETS. We know the products, and we're about to learn the brand. So Michelle, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Hello. Hi, it's great to see you. I'm Michelle Froah, and I'm the Chief Marketing and Innovation Officer globally at ETS. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about that from a title standpoint because it's a pretty wide remit, and the innovation part I think is really important for AI. So ETS, you may or may not know who ETS is, but we are a global education and talent organization, solution organization. We historically have been focused on assessments in the education space and have recently rebranded, which we can talk about as well, into more of a lifelong learner space. And that means learning even into the workforce. So we're really looking at, how we bring the science of measurement to assessments in order to help people progress. And so we're a company. We are nonprofit, which means that we have a very strong mission of creating outcomes in the world. We're focused on driving skill proficiency, on increasing global mobility, and that might be across a lot of different dimensions of global mobility, economic mobility, et cetera. And then also unlocking opportunities for all. And those opportunities, are throughout your life and your career, and advancing how we measure people's competencies, proficiency, and skills is critical for the talent and for the workforce of the future. So we do about 50 million assessments every year across both the assessments like a TOEFL test, which is an English language proficiency test, all the way through credentialing. So if you were going to be a licensed or credentialed air traffic controller, for example, we do those credentials too.
Right. And as we were talking earlier, what I found really interesting about this story is that you've embraced AI as part of your rebrand. If you could talk a little bit how you did that, would be great.
Yeah, I think I'm going to move the slide here. Yeah. Oh, good. Thank you. I can see it now. It's like I can't see the slide. I would probably start with some facts and figures about AI that we've learned recently from a report called the Human Progress Report. This is our inaugural report. It's across 17 countries, 17,000 people across the globe. And we looked at a lot of different factors of what was actually impacting human progress, right? And what are those barriers? And dove into a lot of areas like what kind of skills are people believing that they need for the future? How is AI impacting how they think about the future? And I wanted to share some of these stats because It really impacts how we think about our business and our brand and the kind of innovation that we need to bring. Only because I can't see that far. So 78% of respondents across the globe see AI as a way to actually boost assessments that can be tailored to them. I was like, that's a really high number, 78%. Also, 72 actually would trust AI to help assess them. And especially for skills and improvement in skills. And 66% of respondents indicated that they would trust AI. Now, that last stat is a little bit of the however.
Yeah.
So, a vast majority of folks recognize that there is some bias potentially. And so we have to be really cautious about that. So there's a ton of other great stats in there. There's a QR code there if you want to download the report, please. And, we intend to do this report every year so that we can monitor how these things are moving. So to come back to your question about AI, it's impacting every industry, right? And how we think about what we work on, how we innovate, and education in the workforce is no different at all. We've taken that into account with thinking about how our business needed to transform. So the first thing we did before we even touched the brand was think about what is that strategic vision that we need to do, and how we can show up and help people in the world, especially with AI. And, that strategic vision caused us to rethink we can't just play in educational testing because the world's changing so fast. The skills that people need are changing so fast that we're going to need to help people demonstrate that skill proficiency and actually be able to measure skills in a new way. And so that business transformation, we said our category needs to change as well. And now we want to play in a new space of future ready and helping people thrive and adapt in more of a future ready space. That's a different set of competitors. It's a different brand proposition. And that really spurred us to think about, well, how do we rebrand and, especially drive the trust and the reputation that we have in the educational space more in the workforce space. So we're partnering, we're building, we're developing, and we're partnering more with other companies and with talent that are frankly very AI literate, right? AI engineers and, all across our organization. And so that business transformation to brand transformation leads to being necessary to do innovation transformation. And we can't innovate without AI. So it's really driving a lot of important work streams across our whole organization and making us think about how do we have solutions and products that actually have better customer outcomes by utilizing AI while still, frankly, keeping things very human. We have to keep humans in the loop as we're developing.
Yeah, and what's very fascinating, there was a clear choice between we can block AI and try and hold it off and not have it affect our business and our industry, or we can embrace it and transform. So that was a very clear strategic choice that led to the rebrand. What I'd love to hear about, and we talked about the 3 pillars of your organization, is How did this then get implemented inside your organization to really put everyone that works there on the path to say, we're embracing this and we're going to be a leader in the space?
Yeah, that's an important piece too, because we can sit back and be disrupted, or we can use AI to help inform our work and frankly disrupt the category. So those three pillars you were talking about are using AI strategy, and I'll talk a little bit about how we've done that to develop and implement across the whole organization. The other one is really trying to lead the way on responsible AI. Again, our mission is all about advancing the science of measurement and doing that in a fair, valid, and equitable way. And so using AI responsibly is critical to us living our mission. And then lastly, we're really focused on those customer outcomes that I was saying, thinking about how AI enables our products and solutions to have better customer outcomes, such as personalized insights for our customers.
And could you give an example of a product or what do you measure to show that it's actually working on that kind of product delivery end?
Yeah, I do have some examples. I may not have them right here, but one that I'm going to show you is a product called Authentic, and it's an interview app. It's out there for free. And so when we get there, maybe I can do the slide because I don't know how to go backwards, but I can do that actually. Let's see. Well, it's actually before the video, so it may not work. But let's come back to that one.
Sure. So what I do find also very interesting, and this comes from previous roles I've had, is where does innovation sit within an organization? So we've seen it sit at the CTO, we've seen it sit at a CTO. As a marketer and as marketers in the room, how do you embrace an innovation agenda? How do you make the decision to keep it in marketing and give some insights into the decisions made there?
I think it's a great question. So one of the things I will click on, because you brought up CTO, and then I'll come back to the full answer of your question. We have this AI strategy at ETS, and it's actually co-led by me and our CTO. So we're definitely partners in that. I don't think we all believe that innovation only happens in one department, right? And it's a cross-functional effort. So, that AI strategy work stream, we've been focused on four big things, and it's a cross-functional team. So we have people from legal, HR, from the different business units, from the technology group, from my group, and we're all focused on, first and foremost, driving AI literacy across the organization. So we had some really great examples last summer. We called it AI Summer School, being in education. And everyone went through some pathways to educate themselves on can we use AI in our everyday work. We challenged folks to experiment with AI in their everyday work. And we also had a hackathon. And we had over 100 employees on 22 teams, and again, they're cross-functional teams that participated in this hackathon and came up with great ideas over 3 days of new products, new solutions, new ways we can utilize AI to do some of these other outcomes. So efficiencies, I think this is what every organization probably talks about, but it's so important, right? Like freeing us up to do from menial tasks to do much more important creative work is super empowering. But also it helps us keep costs down by automating and things like that. And then the customer outcomes with some of the product examples. And then credibility is really important, and ensuring that we're driving thought leadership across the organization, but also externally in our field as respected experts, and helping to drive, in particular, the responsible AI through guidelines that we've published.
Yeah, so again, it's this full embrace of AI, not just as a marketing tool, but it's a training tool for people. It's give people the rules and regulations internally on what they should do, from a hackathon to, test these tools for yourself. So it's just really interesting to see that it's the output is the redesign and the products, but really you are embracing it across every team within the organization.
And to come back to your question about, that falling in my area, that was by design. And frankly, it was one of the reasons I was so attracted to the opportunity and the role. I mean, on one hand, to be part of a transformation, not only business and brand, is exciting, but on the other hand, to have a remit across typical marketing functions such as, comms, customer insights, the website, brand and marketing excellence, philanthropy, and a product and innovation team was incredibly exciting, because insights help drive your innovation agenda, right? So it's connecting those dots much closer, but also commercialization opportunities across all of that is most important. And I think it speeds up the innovation process.
Right.
So, we have in that product innovation and development team, we have a lot of AI engineers and a lot of NLP engineers, and and they're frankly dispersed across the globe. They are very highly trained, and they focus on using generative AI, and driving personalization and creating models that can be applied to those products, but then also creating new innovation for how we use AI to get into the product. So, for example, multimodal AI, which will be one of the examples I show you.
Great. So, ETS is quite far along on the AI journey, and we're in a room with marketers who are at various kind of levels of maturity. Is it too late to get into it? Like, are you, the people who join early are going to reap more benefits? Is it too late? And if not, what are the things organizations need to do to get ready? Like, what are the early steps?
Yeah, I don't think it's too late at all, but I do think you should jump on the train
Yes.
so you don't miss it. And, when I look back at our journey, which has, been a multi-year journey, but I think a focused effort on this AI strategy in particular across the org, even the literacy effort, it's a little scary for people, and you have to make it less scary. You have to make it okay to experiment. You have to make it okay to fail. But you also have to celebrate the successes. And, we try and do that across the whole organization by sharing. We have a whole AI blog, and we share, success stories of individuals utilizing AI in their everyday job, but also teams developing and innovating. And we celebrate success from our research and innovation teams getting published about our use of AI, and driving patents as well. So, I think when we reward and celebrate that success, it just creates momentum for people to want to continue.
Yes, and there was a comment on one of the previous panels of, we don't have a data and a technology issue. The tools are there. It's all about people and cultural transformation in organizations to really embrace it in the right ways.
Right.
You mentioned showing an example of the product. Do you want to get to that, the TOEFL?
Let's see if it, oh, there's no sound. Okay, there's some funky music that goes behind it. But this is an example from our China team, and they created, I guess, an ad, if you can call it, on Little Red Book. They had noticed that the word tech was used quite a bit, and that, oh, there
it is.
Yeah, there's the funky music. And they used ChatGPT and DAL E3 to create this. And you know what's amazing is on the next slide, some of the results that the team saw. I mean, huge. It was fast. Like I think they did it in days, right?
Yeah.
Cost us nothing. And increased, reach, impressions, and everything for the brand. And this was totally an experiment, right? I mean, no one asked permission to go do it. They just went and did it, and turned out great. So this is a great example of some of that experimentation. So great results there. Another, I had mentioned, not necessarily a product, but for responsible AI, we've published a responsible AI paper with some guidelines. And, we had a huge convening in DC recently with policymakers and thought leaders where we talked about this and, really drove interesting conversation about not only how we use AI responsibly, but how do we change policies so that it's the standard. And then the last product that I can tell you about is called Authentic. So I mentioned it's out on the App Store. I think that little QR code there will take you to whatever device you want to download it from. And I think this is like an amazing use of AI. It uses multimodal AI, which means it has a lot of different data sources, right, that it ingests. The use case for this is interview prep. So if anyone is looking for a new job or something, you might want to download this. And it uses generative AI first by, you could type in, I'm going to interview for SVP of marketing, and it'll come back with some typical questions that you might get asked in an interview. And you record your answer right on the phone. And what you get is personalized insights back. And those insights might be, how is the quality of your answer? What about your rate of speech? Did you have good eye contact? And other insights like that could help you improve and continue to develop on that skill. But you could see how this could be utilized for all sorts of different forms of communication, and a really important customer outcome, if you will, that's valuable to a person, but it's totally enhanced by and driven by AI.
Yeah, it's incredible. Free tool, you said?
It's free. That's our mission. So
that's great. That's great. And the communication strategy externally, we saw some of the videos, the white papers. Are there other kind of tactics you're taking? Because you talked about internal, how important it is to communicate. Externally, how are you doing that?
Yeah, so, I think the example I gave about the ETS convening that we had in April is a big one. We also, we have a lot of researchers that work at ETS. And of course, the experts in AI and AI innovation. And so we encourage people to publish papers, and we have a lot of papers published, and be experts talking out in the field, so that we drive that expertise, but more importantly, drive the conversation and try and lead the conversation. And then again, the patents and things that are utilized for responsible and ethical AI are incredibly important to us.
And as marketers in this room, what are some of the future items that we'll have to consider to be ready to embrace AI? Like, where do you see it going that as marketers we need to be either prepared or making decisions now for tomorrow?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a twisty road ahead of us if we don't keep focused on what makes us true marketers, right? We're supposed to be the customer voice. We're supposed to understand insights about people. And if we don't keep that on a human, real human level, we might get a little lost, I think. So this authentic versus synthetic tension, I think, is important for us to think about always keeping a human in the loop, sometimes on the loop.
Yeah.
So that's important for us, like as we create assessments. We can create an AI model that can score an assessment, for example. But if that model isn't trained correctly and we don't have humans in the loop checking on bias, responsible AI, credibility, all those kinds of things, I think that we'll lose our way. And so that keeping that human in the loop and keeping that human perspective, I think, is critically important for us as marketers to play that role.
Yeah. And kind of our concluding statement or question is really around, and this event really is a good example of us as marketers and agencies coming together to educate ourselves. What else can we do as marketers, agencies, to continually educate ourselves on where AI and the next tools are really going?
That's a good question. I was actually thinking about that when the last speaker was up. I think it's inevitable for some of our craft, right, to get automated.
Yeah.
And AI can be just as creative, maybe, as humans. But the evaluation part, I think, has to stay with us and with humans. So that's important. But I do feel like this space of innovation, we should, as marketers, that should be by design, that we also own that agenda. And I don't think AI can take over all of innovation. So, like one of the areas, for example, of innovation that we're really focused on is skill measurement. So I said, we try and advance the science of measurement. Advancing the science of measurement of skills and the application of those skills is more than cognitive. So that's a difficult one, but it's going to take people, humans, us, marketers, to figure out, like, well, what are the skills of the future? Is it persistency? Is it grit? Is it creative problem solving? And how do we actually measure those durable skills that you need for your life? And I think if we focus on the innovation part, we'll always have a place.
Amen to that. Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Really appreciate the time. Thank you.